Welcome to the Bluebird Paradox, a gritty microzine written by me, Chris Sadhill, that explores the coexistence of light and darkness, focusing on social issues and the human experiences we often overlook, presented through various short stories, poetry, and other creative arts. The Bluebird pays homage to Charles Bukowski's poem Bluebird, which delves into themes of vulnerability, repression, and the struggle to express oneself authentically. Often, the bluebird symbolizes hope, love, positivity, and renewal. However, throughout my life, I've observed the presence of darkness where there is light, leading me to believe in a paradoxical relationship between the two. The Bluebird Paradox embraces the inherent contradictions and complexities of our existence, and seeks to reveal deeper truths about society, emotions, and the human experience. As always, thank you for being here. Please enjoy the read. Today we're asking a question we often avoid. When you look in the mirror, who do you really see? Is it a vision of success, or does self-doubt linger in the reflection? We'll explore the masks we wear, the lies we tell ourselves, and the hard truths we often avoid. Inspired by my poem, Being the Fairest is For Pussies, this episode is about peeling back the layers, exploring the messy process of self-love, and discussing how to take charge of your own growth instead of waiting for someone else to define it for you. We'll also talk about the song Warm Shadow by Fink, how a recent loss of mine as a competitive writer could offer some insight, my struggles with submitting work to literary magazines, and the hope I hold for months ahead. Plus, we'll feature the poem A Daughter's Absolution by B.S. Jennison, the winner of last month's writing challenge. There's a lot to cover, so let's dive in and keep it real, raw, and unfiltered. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you take the time to really look at yourself? To spend a meaningful moment with yourself? What do you see? Is it beauty, success, greatness, a future best-selling novelist? Or do you see a monster, unhappy, fearful, a failure? Perhaps a procrastinator, a fraud, a fatty, undeserving of love and praise, or something else? Maybe it's a bit of everything. Maybe you see nothing at all. And when I say look, I mean peering through those dazed pupils deep into your soul, having an unspoken conversation with yourself, a head check, a state of the union with your subconscious. Be honest. What do you see? I rarely look at myself, but when I do, I see a stranger in the room, a blur, an imposter wearing my face as a mask. It's discouraging because I know it's me, but I can't help picturing every failure I've ever made and all the flaws I still retain. Then I notice the age, the creases, and the graying hair, reminders that I've wasted too much of my youth trying to reinvent myself and start over. I've been believing my lies, avoiding the man in the mirror for far too long, trying to survive, please others, and feed my ego. But where did that get me? Older, somewhat bitter, and not any further along than when I was 22. Sure, maybe I'm too hard on myself and have too high expectations, but as I learn to be more accountable, it's difficult not to muster up a little self-loathing for what stares back at me. I limit my tears to once per year, in secrecy. How awful. A grown man ugly crying at his reflection, flooding his face with moisture and snot like a fool. I could avoid it if I just did what I said I would, but every year I believe my hopeful lies and return to the mirror, underwhelmed. And just as quickly as it started, it's over. I exit stage left and flip the bathroom light switch off until next time. We like believing pretty little lies to motivate ourselves, to fake it till we make it. That only gets us so far. If you're like me, that means well into your 30s. Sure, a few found success using that approach, but deep down, you know it's unlikely, and it's bullshit. Eventually, you'll be outed, forced to face yourself, to see yourself for who you really are. Hopefully, before they see you for who you are. That's the worst fear, right? To be inadequate, vulnerable, and honest. To be flawed among your peers. How painful authenticity must be. It's not worth the risk, we think, so we never try. But when they find out, and they certainly will find out, what will you do then? Stack on more lies? Change your identity again? Climb into a cave and vow to find yourself in your 40s? You've got time, right? But we like the lies, don't we? We love trusting the empty promises we make to ourselves to avoid the responsibility of actually accomplishing what we want or becoming who we want. It's easier that way, thinking progress is being made simply by stating you plan to do something. There's action in those words. There's decisiveness. But they are merely words, and the reality is all you're left with is stagnant air. We're disillusioned enough to keep wanting things while avoiding what it takes to achieve them. Discipline, commitment, accountability, perseverance. You know what it takes. Doing the right thing is hard, and it often seems impossible. But what is the right thing, and how do you know if you're actually doing it? Is it because we're constantly doing the wrong things, or seeking things for the wrong reasons, that it feels unattainable? Perhaps we're misaligned with the universe, or ourselves. Conversely, if we found the right thing, would we know instantly, and our path would become clear and achievable? How should one help themselves when they're unsure of who they are, or are lost venturing down a new path, chasing what they think is right? The right thing is not what society dictates we should do, or the politically correct thing. It's what feels right in your soul. It's unique to you and customized to your needs. It's chasing that thing you've always wanted, that goal or desire to become a better version of yourself. It's the pursuit of happiness despite the backlash of what people may think, your earning potential, or the accolades that may come from it. It's the permission to be authentic, the thing you're most afraid to become, because it means that you'd be operating outside the rules, and it's almost certain you'd be in limited company, or alone. It's a raw and unfiltered you, without fear of rejection, doubt, or regret, because at the end of the day, it's your life you must live. Fuck everything else. Once we realize we're responsible for ourselves, and there's no magic mirror telling us what we want to hear, the path becomes clearer. It's the first step towards true happiness, and when real progress can begin. Maybe then, during the next annual meeting in the mirror, we can be a little more forgiving and a lot more loving toward ourselves. I know I can benefit from more self-love. And perhaps next year, instead of tears, you can catch the faint beginnings of a smile. This month's theme is inspired by a poem I wrote in 2023, titled Being the Fairest is For Pussies. It was originally meant to be included in a book I was developing called The Trailer Park, a collection of poetry and prose that explored various influences from my life. The book has since been dismantled. I wrote Being the Fairest is For Pussies after looking at myself in the mirror one June morning. There was no prompt, no deadline, just vibes, stream of consciousness, and a flood of regret. It rained more than usual that day. Sure, the title is abrasive, but that's my style, and it's why you're here, for the daring honesty, right? Life can be overwhelming most of the time, and every once in a while it stares you down, forcing you to either surrender or take a fighting stance. Either way, it's a game of chicken, and life always wins, because it doesn't have to react. You do. Just make sure your reaction benefits you in some way. Remember, you get in return what you give yourself, and what you give yourself is a reflection, a mirrored perspective. Being the Fairest is For Pussies, by Chris Sadhill. Magic mirrors only exist in fairy tales. Here there's no wisdom hidden within the glass, or insincerity. Yet I still stare, waiting for something miraculous to reveal itself. It never does. The person glaring back at me is just as fucked up, as scared and as confused about the future as I am. I say fuck that guy. He's no help to me either. Sad Hill's Music Minute. Warm Shadow by Fink explores the duality of wanting to live in the moment while yearning for something more. An internal purgatory of desiring change but refusing to open your eyes to see it. As the song begins, you're immediately hypnotized by a pair of guitars inviting you into a trance-like state. By the time Finn's unique voice delivers the first line, you're drawn into an introspective experience that leaves you paralyzed. The uplifting rhythm contributes to the song's warm feeling, allowing listeners to find comfort in the repetition. The vibe encourages a sense that change is on the horizon, but the hypnosis keeps you grounded, creating a physical embodiment of the implied theme. The message in this song opens a conversation with the self and challenges your beliefs, tying in perfectly with this week's theme of disillusionment, the turmoil of holding on to what you have while struggling to pursue what you want, and the inaction that results. Warm Shadow was featured in 2013 in Walking Dead's Season 3, Episode 13, Arrow on the Doorpost, and is available for listening on this month's issue of The Bluebird Paradox. You can also find more from Fink on social media by searching @FinkMusic or visiting finkmusic.net. Sad Hill News. Writing Battle. The 2024 Summer Nanofiction Battle has ended, and boy did my story, The Claim, eat shit. For the first time, I didn't receive an honorable trophy, winning only 4 of the 10 duels and ranking in the bottom 50% of participants in the sci-fi western genre. This battle saw a record 1,463 submitted stories, with an additional 467 people unable to finish or submit in time. Insane numbers. I can't say I didn't expect a bad result. I knew it was risky to write a low-stakes piece with very little plot, in a genre likely saturated with saloons, shootouts, tumbleweeds, and cowboys ripping through the desert on robot horses. But to do this badly, fucking hell, what a spur to the groin. But I live by the rule, go big or stay home. So I wrote what I wanted, knowing to be taking a massive risk and likely losing $18. Hell, by the battle's end, 1,455 writers would be joining me too. In my mind, it was worth it. It's always worth it to go against the grain, try something new and exciting, or be different. So I adapted a world from an unfinished story that I'd begun developing for another contest, but never submitted, and I reused characters I thought had great chemistry. In the end, I liked it, and so did the 100 other writers who read and commented during the debrief. They wanted more. That's the real win in my book, and how I truly gauge my success. Not 10 randos with a fiery urge to push a button and move on. When confronting a loss, there are 2 roads one can travel. The easiest road is the first. Walk down that one and you'll quickly be lying fetal, weeping into a soggy pillow, blaming everyone but yourself, holding grudges, writing a lengthy hit list, becoming angrier and more bitter as time goes on. You may even write a blog or forum post about it, wasting tears and allowing negativity to get the best of you, which leads to nowhere. That road makes you give up on yourself, your morals and your poise. That road makes many writers quit writing for a while, or worse, forever. Or you could take the road with the roughest terrain as I did. Strap yourself into that fucking saddle and whip your horse's ass into overdrive, 'cause baby, we're getting to Oregon by midnight, come hell or high water. That same weekend my story bombed, I signed up for the autumn short story battle. Oh yeah, I'm a glutton. Thank you, sir, may I have another? I submitted a fresh story to Furious Fiction's monthly challenge, which I'm pretty stoked about. I've been expanding that story all month. I earned 2nd place in the Twist and a Tales Side Quest Challenge and won 1st place in a short story contest on thepros.com. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, I seem to have developed a more significant friendship with a fellow writer whom I respect, and I was invited to a writing group. I may have broken my diet, splurging on tons of junk food, but I bounced back by Monday. The moral here is, writers lose a lot, more often than they win. Get used to it. Stop whining and start winning, or start looking at losses as opportunities rather than setbacks. Get back on that horse and whip it good, all the way to Oregon. Publications. It's been a while since I submitted my work, and frankly, I need to grind much harder at it. How else am I going to blaze a path to glory? Or will it be slow and steady that drives me past the victory line? Regardless, as soon as I can get my shit together, I plan to focus more on submissions during the second half of this year. Maybe that'll set me up for a strong start in 2025. I have received one response since the last issue, Sans Press, not selected for publication. The remaining lit mags and journals I had submitted to have not responded yet, but let's be honest, they'll probably be denied too. However, there's one I'm most excited about. I'm crossing all my fingers that Seaside Gothic falls in love with my poem, The Current. I'd be so goddamn giddy if I got that email. I guess we'll see. Stay tuned. August's challenge winner. Thank you everyone for submitting to last month's challenge. To recap, the prompt was the helper, the helpless, or helplessness. Congratulations to B.S. Jennison for the win. The winning entry is a short poem that captures the loss of a loved one to mental illness, not in body, but in mind. The sadness of a grieving daughter continuing to suffer as time carries her into middle age is poignant and heartfelt. A Daughter's Absolution by B.S. Jennison. You never said goodbye because you never knew you left. I've always said, it's okay. It's okay I haven't seen you for the last 27 birthdays. It's okay I've never got to share my first womanhood moment with you. It's okay I had to figure out how to pick my first bra. It's okay you weren't at my high school or college graduation. It's okay that you never met my boyfriend, turned fiancé, now husband. It's okay that I never got to show you my first house that we spent our life savings to purchase. And if you don't see our next adventure, it's okay, because I forgive you. I know you couldn't help it, and you'll continue to love me because I remember you as you were, before your diagnosis. And it's okay. Those memories will never disappear from my life as you have, and that's how I know it will be okay. B.S. Jennison limits where her work is shown and has chosen not to share any links. I'm grateful for the opportunity she's given us to read this raw and vulnerable piece. Hopefully, we'll be seeing more of her in the future. And finally, I leave you with this month's Sad Hill Writing Challenge. Each month I provide a writing prompt encouraging fellow writers to stay sharp, compete in friendly competition, and challenge them to push past their creative boundaries. The winning piece will be featured in next month's issue, as well as any links the winner wants to share or promote their brand. The September prompt is an open call for poetry or prose of any theme or any genre of 250 words or less. Rules: only one entry per writer per monthly contest. Reprints and simultaneous submissions are encouraged. This month's deadline is 11:59 p.m. or by the end of Friday, October 25th, 2024, to allow time for final edits. Your entry does not have to include the prompt word or phrase, but must have the essence of the meaning captured. Metaphor and obscurity are encouraged, and finding something beautiful in darkness is even better. All entries must be sent to chrissadhill@gmail.com. Please use the subject line Sadhill Writing Challenge and include the month. You may paste the story directly into the body of your email or attach a file. Please include any promotional links you'd like to advertise. By entering, you agree for your work to be published in my microzine for no less than 1 month, and if chosen as the winner, it will be included as content on my Substack. You retain all rights to your work, and upon request, I'll gladly remove it for any reason following the featured month of publication. Good luck, and see you next month. And don't forget to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't signed up for my Substack, please visit www.chrissadhill.substack.com to access all of my content.